Alright, finally into the game. As we see everyone load up here, MRN versus Good Game University. First game of the evening. Definitely expect to see a lot of Nidalee bans this day, as she's basically been permanently banned. And one of the strongest champions in the game. Taric also banned out, and it looks like we do get to see the bug where Good Game University has all the bans on their side, and we can't actually see the final few bans, which is kind of annoying, but just something we're going to have to deal with at this point. Taric, no surprise on that ban, as he's been very solid, and his additional armor really messes up the heavy bruiser comps that teams like to run at the moment. He also has a very reliable stun. Twitch and Kayle both banned out for their high DPS potential, and no one wants to see a good Kayle ultimate, as that has completely ruined teams' games, and a single good Kayle ultimate can actually change the entire course of a game, as we've seen several times over the course of the LCS. I definitely expect to see Elise likely banned out, and then either Jarvan or Xin Zhao for the final bans coming out between these two teams. And they'll likely pick up the other one should one of them go through. And looks like we are going to have MRN with first pick here. Then we sadly can't see those last few bans. I do apologize for that. That's just a function of this tournament round being a little buggy at the moment. And I definitely expect them to pick up either Xin Zhao, Elise, or Jarvan, whichever one of those wasn't banned, as those are the three super strong, completely overpowered champions that usually slip through. And it will be Twisted Fate, another very strong champion choice. People just love picking Twisted Fate at the moment because he can just move around the battlefield. He can really punish teams for trying to play aggressively, and everyone seems to want to play very aggressively at the moment, as they don't want to deal with late game, one mistake costing you the game. But Good Game University will have a soft counter to Twisted Fate in the Shen and pick up the Jarvan for a whole lot of power coming out of them. Jarvan likely in the jungle with Shen up top. Means that whenever Twisted Fate decides to use his ultimate, Shen can be right there behind him for the most part. But that will mean MRN will pick up Renekton and likely V. Lots of very strong champions going through here, as we had several different bans with the Taric and Twitch. But V will be able to move around the map, Renekton will move around the map, and can put a real hurting on Shen early. Especially if they actually get to match up with each other and aren't split off in a 2v1 lane. Even though I definitely think a 2v1 lane favors Shen, as he does have the ability to blast it from a distance, and just a little tankier than Renekton early game, as Renekton has to get close to use his sustain. Shen doesn't, as he can just last that minions to pick up a little extra health. He also has the taunt, which is a little better than Slice and Dice just due to the cooldown, but not significantly so. Good Game University likely to pick up Lulu for their support. Not sure what they're going to actually go with as a jungler. Or not junglers, I think mid laner and AD carry. Unless they want to go something really weird. But I definitely think it will be the mid laner and support here. As I definitely think they're waiting till the last second to change it. And yeah, Varus Lulu. And it will be actually Ezreal Lulu. Playing it very safe on the side of Good Game, as they really are picking very conservatively, not going outside the box. But I think that's a pretty good decision for them, as they feel they can play up with MRN. And I definitely think Lulu is a good choice here. It gives us a lot of extra health to whoever gets hit by it. And with people like Jarvan and Shen, you can really get into the middle of the team and actually use the knock-up on every single person. MRN here looking to pick up the support and AD carry. Likely to be someone like a Graves. Could be Varus, Caitlyn, as if she's still in the pool. As those are fairly standard choices and are usually picked up pretty much every single game. I think for support they would also need someone like a Sona, or Alistar would be okay, but I don't think Alistar is a very good choice here, as they really need someone to get on Ezreal. But they go with Tristiana and Alistar, looking to really get a lot of farm onto Tristiana and allow her to carry in the late game. It's a decent move here, but I think somebody like Sona would have been a little better, as they have enough tankiness and ability to get in the battlefield already with Renekton and V. They don't really need Alistar to protect Tristiana that much, unless they can get an early kill or two, but that's going to be very hard with the high mobility coming out from both Lulu and Ezreal. Lulu and Ezreal both really have a lot of mobility, especially early on. Ezreal can just shift away, while Lulu has a movement speed buff and the additional of the polymorph. So that can really hurt Alistar if he goes in onto Ezreal, and it's just going to be very hard to pick him off. As if Lulu's times well, she can easily stop Alistar from getting his combo and just knock Ezreal away. Same thing with Tristiana, just knock her into the polymorph state and she won't be able to do anything once she jumps in. Final pick will be Lux, looking for a bit of initiation and crowd control, even though they do already have Jarvan. But Jarvan's just such a good person to counter up with Lux, as it's really hard to miss your abilities when you're in that Jarvan ultimate, and you can easily force flashes away. But this is definitely a good lineup coming out from both teams. Though I think MRN is a little damage light, though they have a lot of protection for that Tristiana if they can get her the farm she needs. She really just needs to pick up a few items and she'll be able to deal a lot of damage. But the problem will come with Tristiana being the only major damage source. V has okay damage, Twisted Fate has okay damage, but they don't have multiple big hitters like the Lux and Ezreal, who have really high damage and really big burst potential. And I definitely think it's going to be Good Game University's game to lose here, as we're likely going to see them lane swapping early on, as it seems the red team wants to lane swap every single game just to be able to pick up those double golems up top and apply pressure to that top tower. It's kind of how you have to think in terms of drafting, as that's really something you have to go from, you know you're going to do at the beginning. And Lulu's an excellent 2v1 laner, as she has some of the strongest poke in the game starting at level 2, as she has the ability to land picks, then follow it up with a beautiful glitter lance, and just continually slow and allow the AD carry to apply some auto attacks. And that's definitely what I think Good Game wants to do here, though I think we're going to see a lane swap from MRN as well, as it's a fairly even lane, though it's not a very aggressive lane on either side, just due to how the matchup goes. But it looks like we are going to have the Good Game University side running down, likely to do a small red invade, as they have been known to invade red quite often. Not actually taking it, but getting that deep ward near the race, so you can spot out what the enemy jungler is doing the entire game. And it looks like they might do a full red invade here, as we do see everyone down there. Lux is going to be scouting out the mid lane and likely sees Twisted Fate. V doing a very nice spot here to try and catch anyone that goes in deep outside of just the river area. Lux in the mid lane should try and throw out a spell or two just to annoy this Twisted Fate, as that is one of the better things she can do at this point in the game. And yeah, MRN definitely ready for it, as Lulu does place the ward and scares Tristiana off a little bit. Shen going to be up top against Renekton, and actually one of the first games I've seen in a long time that's had standard lanes with the AD carry and support bottom. Jarvan throws out the flag, as we are going to have Lulu placing a fairly deep ward. Yeah, that nice ward near the red buff. Exactly what every team wants to use and see, as it's just a really good ward. Make sure you know where V is going. She can't run right to the middle lane. You can catch the mid laner if he decides to rotate early. And it's just such a really good move by Good Game University to get that deep ward. MRN didn't decide to go with it, but they are going to be able to take the wolves in addition to the double golems down bottom. Lux going to apply a bit of pressure here to V as she does scout it out, and just very annoying. She won't be able to actually get anything off of it, but it looks like she did get a little minion, which is something for that one spell. But it's not going to be a whole lot, as Jarvan does start off with his blue buff. Shen and Renekton are going to be both up top. Alistar going to do a little bit of tanking of this red buff, trying to get it done very quickly for V, but she's going to be a bit behind Jarvan, as he just got a little bit better of a leash. Though Ezreal will be behind Tristan a bit in experience, because he didn't get the solo farm that you really like to get on your AD carries. Jarvan looked like he's going to run around and go for the blue buff, but he will be spotted out thanks to that ward in the river. And this is going to be an interesting spot, as V will meet him in the jungle. And they are going to duke it out. Jarvan not in a very good spot, but he will jump over. Lux throws out a light binding and does hit Twisted Fate for a good bit of harassment. And Lux doing the smart thing of just pushing it out. And she was going to be able to rotate over, but once they saw V there waiting for Jarvan, it was over pretty quickly. They didn't want to invade. They didn't want to take the risk. But it looks like Renekton is going to try and apply some pressure here to Jarvan, as he does finish off his red buff in good shape. Renekton only level 2 versus Jarvan's level 3. And that's actually a pretty good move by Renekton, as he has pushed the lane fairly hard. And it looks like we are going to see Good Game University under attack, as Marn does a good job, and they're going to be able to steal the blue Wraith here. But Lux does actually place a nice light binding, and Jarvan does pick it up with the long lance. A bit of wasted time there, and allows Shen to catch up on CS, as he is getting beaten down fairly heavily by Renekton. In the mid lane, we do have Lux just continuing to farm against Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate getting the better of that lane, as Lux is down significantly in CS, even though there are several minions there waiting at the tower. And Marn's just done a good job picking up a small lead despite not any kills being traded. Shen going to taunt onto Renekton, but not a good trade for Renekton, as he doesn't get to break Shen's shield, and Shen is back at full health. Renekton does have the red pot, so he can trade and do some good damage to Shen should he choose to. But that roam really hurt his levels, as that's a big creep wave stacking up, and Shen's just going to use that creep wave advantage every chance he gets. Because if you have more minions, you're going to take a lot of extra damage in a fight, especially early game, because every minion's going to be doing 10 or so damage every single hit. And when there's 5 or 6 ranged minions hitting you every few seconds, that's an additional auto attack's worth of damage every single volley. And it's just incredibly painful to deal with. Looks like we are going to have Tristiana doing a very good job against Ezreal, actually outlast hitting him at the moment. But they are very close at this point. Lux has taken a lead on Twisted Fate, as she's pushed him very far back to the tower. Though Marn's still up slightly, mostly thanks to this top lane and bottom lane being up just a little bit in terms of farm. It's not a whole lot. This Ezreal is playing very defensively. He's playing a little too defensively for my liking, as he's burning all of his mana, being extra careful, when they could easily just have Lulu hover her cursor on Alistar and immediately hex him the second he goes in with his headbutt, which will just knock Ezreal away. He won't be able to get off the pulverize, as you can actually CC someone with the headbutt and not get the while they're in the headbutt animation and just get the knockback. And they really need to use that on Good Game's side of things. If they don't, they're going to be in a lot of troubles. They're just going to get behind to this Tristiana lane, and you really can't get behind to Tristiana, as she will outscale Ezreal. Not a ton, but fairly significantly in the range department, as she has the ability to just sit back from 1.5 miles away and deal damage. Jarvan going to come down bottom, and I think he is going to try for a gank from the bushes, but Ezreal and Lulu definitely need to push it up a little bit if they're going to try that, as the next creep wave will soon be here, and it looks like Jarvan will get the opportunity to come down bottom. Pink ward here near the race, but we're definitely going to see a gank here. Question is, will Alistar actually try and go in and start this? If Alistar and Tristiana go in together, it's going to be pretty bad news, as they burn those escapes pretty quickly. Jarvan just going to sit here and wait. That's one of the things I've seen out of a lot of the junglers. They don't care how long they have to wait, as long as they can help their AD carry out. But Jarvan not getting the opportunity, as Alistar's playing very defensive. He realizes something's up if Ezreal's kind of gotten it together and is not playing defensively. Up top, V's going to come in for a gank very soon. She is level 4. Still a bit of a ways off from that level 6. Both of our global champions in Shen and Twisted Fate have hit 6 already, so I expect to see a gank from either one of them fairly soon. And I definitely think that's the reason Alistar decided to back up, as he noticed Shen was level 6, and you really don't want to go into a Shen ultimate, especially because that can really turn around that gank. Twisted Fate was level 6 and ready to go, but I think Lux would have been able to stop him before he got down there, as if you do land your light binding, you cannot teleport with your destiny as long as you're light binded, which, while it doesn't last long, it's enough to be a real nuisance to anyone. Alistar is out of consumables at this point, as Lulu does have a bunch of potions down bottom. Both 80 carries starting out at Doran's Blade, but neither one of them haven't gone back yet. In the mid lane, Lux has picked up the Chalice, while we do see Twisted Fate with 2 Doran's Rings and Boots. He's looking to get his roam on, as that's a fairly standard roaming build. You push the lane out, get your mana back from the Doran's Rings, then rotate around the map. V has picked up the Spirit Stone, Renekton going with an early Giant's Belt. Shen has not gone back yet, as he just has a cloth armor. Jarvan has completed that Madrid's Razor, likely going to bring that to Wriggle's Lantern soon. And we still have not seen First Blood, and it's already 8 minutes into the game. But MRN has opened up a 1,000 gold lead just off better farming, as the bottom lane is winning very heavily, top lane's up pretty significantly, and even their mid laner's up a little bit. Jungle is up as well for MRN, as every single one of their lanes is taking these small advantages. And that's definitely a good sign, as it shows you're just a little better at last hitting and laning, and that can really snowball into an advantage later on in the game. But it could easily be turned around, as a kill hasn't been put on the board yet. Neither side is really in any advantage, as 1,000 gold is not a whole lot at any point in the game. That's easily 2 kills plus their assists worth of gold. Twisted Fate just doing a good job of pushing this mid lane. Lux fires her ultimate just to continue applying pressure to Twisted Fate. They don't want to let Twisted Fate push the way to the tower, then start roaming around. But I don't think Twisted Fate's going to get a good opportunity to roam. Nice ultimate there by Ezreal, stops both of the bottom laners from going back. Lulu going to be able to walk forward and harass them just a bit more, and just keep them from going back. And it's a good strategy, as we see Tristiana really wanting to go back to base, but she's not letting her. And we are going to see V coming in the bottom lane, as she wants to get one of those elusive lane ganks. She is level 6 now, so they have a lot of initiation range from Marn. And with Alistar and V, they can go a real big distance if they need to. Looks like they are going to take the opportunity for a Good Game University to back up. Twisted Fate coming down bottom, but if they do go back, this is going to be a free dragon. It looks like Marn recognizes this, and they're going to take it away. Very good opportunity there, and that playing really backfired for Ezreal and Lulu, as they didn't apply enough pressure when they knocked them out of going back. So we are going to see the Marn pick up the first dragon of the game and set it about a 2,000 gold lead. Renekton coming down in the mid lane just to hold it for Twisted Fate. That is giving a bit of time for Shen to farm, but Shen hasn't used his ultimate. Twisted Fate still without an ultimate, and I definitely think they kind of realize it. Interesting first item pickup here by Tristiana. She picked up Blade of the Rune King. Kind of surprised she went for that as a first item. I figured you can pick that up as your second or third item and be really good, as it does bring a lot of lifesteal, a lot of escapability. But as a first item, I'm not so sure about it. It does bring a lot of lifesteal and lane sustain, and will allow her to trade even better with Ezreal. But I'm just not sure about it as a very good first pick up. Looks like Twisted Fate going right into the Sheen, soon to pick up a Lich Bane, as that's definitely what he needs for that extra bit of burst damage in these ganks. Ezreal is opting for the early BF Sword and Bloodthirster, as he has all the components for it at the moment. Neither bottom lane are opting for boots, as we see Sightstones on both of the bottom lane supports. Lux still not having gone back after picking up that Chalice and boots early, as she definitely needs to pick up a little bit of ability power soon, or Twisted Fate's going to be able to bully her around in lane, and she's not going to be able to clear the creep wave fast enough. Renekton has decided to go with a Brutalizer up top. V likely going to go into the Spirit of the Elder Lizard fairly soon, as that's just such a good item on her. It allows her to do a whole lot of damage, and she can apply it to virtually everyone with her AoE attacks. Jarvan going for that quick lock there on Solari after picking up the Madrid's Razor. That's fairly standard on anyone tanky nowadays, as that shield is just deceptively strong. It's not a whole lot, it's an extra 10% of your health, give or take depending upon your current level, but it usually averages out to about 10% of your health for anyone that isn't stacking Warmongs. So it's definitely a lot, but it just never, the number doesn't look that big when it's usually only 200 to 300 health. Lux has decided to go back and pick up that needlessly large rod. Jarvan just holding the lane and keeping it pushed. V picking up a Brutalizer. And I definitely think this is a good decision by Good Game University. Just continually push the mid lane. Don't let Twisted Fate get any farm or any roaming ability and pick up kills, because he really does need the kills to stay ahead, as he doesn't scale incredibly well into the late game. He scales fairly well, but mostly as a poke and tower killer. And the Twisted Fate passive has actually been pretty powerful overall, as it's added about 400 gold to Marn this game so far without any kills being taken. And that's pretty nice passive. And it's actually more like, yeah, it's close to 500 gold, going on 600. As they're just continuing to farm, and 2 gold for every minion kill is a lot. And the lead is just snowballing for them. As they picking up the extra gold from Twisted Fate, they picked up the dragon. And all their lanes are farming just a little bit better. It's not significantly so, but it's going to show itself up as they're able to pick up that one item a few seconds earlier, or go back to base just a little faster and pick up the next objective. Twisted Fate going to be having blue, and he definitely needs to start roaming with his ultimate, as he just needs to get something going for his team. Even though they're farming better, that could easily be taken in a single fight. A tower would be very useful for either team at this point. And they could MRN on Twisted Fate could easily snowball 2 or 3 objectives if he can get a good ultimate off at this point. As Tristiana is very powerful, and so is Renekton at this point, and they're really hitting the peak for Renekton, as this mid-game area is his strongest point. He really just has the ability to out-tank everyone with his ultimate and deal a lot of damage with his Call the Meek. And this is the point before the AD carries get enough damage to really destroy him once he goes in. Tristiana trading very well with Ezreal, and this Tristiana pick's worked out incredibly well. Ezreal is not able to deal with Tristana's power. And I thought he'd have a much better early game, but so far he has just not been able to do anything. He's played very passive early game, and just was not able to snowball it into a decent advantage, because he just played too passive. Playing passive is okay, but not when you're giving it to someone who can carry harder than you later. As Tristiana is one of the hardest carries in the late game, due to the fact she just has a ridiculous amount of range. Looks like Good Game is going to be trying to push the lane with 2. Twisted Fate has had to go back to base already. Just getting pushed on very hard, and not able to make anything happen around the map, as top lane and bottom lane have pushed very heavily. And I definitely expect Twisted Fate to use his ultimate very soon, as Dragon will be up in about 30 seconds, and if they can find a kill without expending too many resources, they can easily snowball a Dragon very quickly, and they can make Dragon basically free. As if you could take out someone like even Lulu, not having a Lulu ultimate in a team fight is a really big thing, as Ezreal will be a little weaker, and even Jarvan won't have that extra bit of health. Good Game University is right on this, not wasting a single second, as Lulu and Ezreal are out of position. This will be the second Dragon of the game taken by them. Neither team has taken a kill yet, but MRN is up to 3,500 gold lead. And it's a pretty healthy 3,500 gold lead, as they're going to be snowballing this mid and late game very well. I don't think they're stronger in the late game than Good Game Universities. I think Lux and Ezreal are a bit stronger than Twisted Fate Tristiana, especially if Lux can get a good combo and just one-shot Tristiana. But they're going to have a very good window to operate, especially if they can split push with Twisted Fate and drive a lot of attention away. Looks like Jarvan is going to come down here, and we are likely going to see first blood. Not sure which team's going to actually take it, but Jarvan is knocked up. Tristiana uses a rocket jump, and we do see Alistar in a lot of trouble as Jarvan does jump in. Jarvan will not have enough for his ultimate, and it looks like he is going to dive down there, as Lux takes a lot of damage in the mid lane, but she is spotting out V there, and no first blood. Very close to happening, as Alistar got within single digits of dying. But Lux also got very low, and it looks like we are going to see a tower taken down bottom. No way that Jarvan is going to stay down here if he wasn't going to pick up this tower. Tristiana doesn't have the health or mana to really come back into this lane, not with 3 of them there. And it looks like we are going to see one tower taken down by Good Game University, but MRN will answer with a tower of their own in the mid lane. An absolutely beautiful trade there, as the mid tower is worth a lot more than that bottom tower, at least at this point in the game. Lux has decided to go with a very quick death cap being her first purchase. You see Twisted Fate picking up the needlessly large rod, likely to go into a Zhonya's hourglass. Shen has decided to pick up a Sunfire Cape, lock the Solari up onto Jarvan. Brutalizer soon to be up onto V. Renekton with Warmongs and the Brutalizer. Tristiana picking up that Zeal addition to the Blade of the Rune King. Alistar finishing off the standard support items. As you see a fight up top, Renekton doing a lot of damage to Shen, and Shen will be very low, but will Twisted Fate get in range? He does flash. Shen counters with his own flash. Still no first blood, as Shen just squeaked out of there. But this will mean another tower taken by MRN, as Twisted Fate can easily push this down with his Sheen, and it will be second tower of the game for MRN. But it looks like Good Game University is going to counter with a mid tower. A pretty good trade for them, as we have seen 2 towers taken by each team, and a 4,000 gold lead by MRN. MRN really using this Twisted Fate passive effectively, as every single one of their champions is farming ridiculously well, with 3 champions already over 150 minions on each side, with V over 100 as a jungler. It's a very impressive showing of how to farm out lanes from both teams. The problem is MRN gets an extra 2 gold for every single minion kill, and that's really adding up, as it's easily over 1,000 gold at this point throughout their entire team, which is pretty ridiculous considering that's just what Twisted Fate's passive has added. And one of the reasons why teams pick Twisted Fate. He adds a little bit of extra gold if you just go into these farm offs. Well, you really want to get a lot of use out of his ultimate. Even if you're not getting kills with it, it adds just that extra little bit of gold. Meaning you can pick up a few extra wards, or you can afford to grab an extra potion or 2 in lane. And it's just a really nice thing to have, especially when I think this game's going to go fairly late, considering neither team's picked up a single kill. V and Twisted Fate are looking to start roaming around the map, but another good ward there by Good Game University, keeping tabs on Twisted Fate if he wants to move around the map. And if they want to take that ward away, they're going to have to expend a lot of effort, as it looks like Twisted Fate does flash forward, and Lux is in a lot of trouble, but she will be able to flash out. No way they're going to pursue that, as 3 members of Good Game University are right around while MRN is in position. And it looks like we are going to see Dragon up in about a minute 40, as it looks like MRN is going to head down bottom and try and pick up that last outer tower and contest the blue buff. I don't think blue buff's going to be up for at least a little bit, but without any wards down there, Good Game is not in a good spot here, though they do have a nice ward that's going to spot out V and Twisted Fate as they come up. Lulu likely in a bit of trouble, but no, Alistar decides not to flash for it. At the last outer tower for Good Game University has been taken out. Jarvan going to jump over the walls. They try and make something happen, but those wild cards from Twisted Fate will quickly end anything that they wanted to start. And without a single kill on the board, MRN is up 5,000 gold. And they've done an excellent job of controlling the map. They don't need to get kills if they're picking up more objectives. As they picked up both dragons so far, they're up an additional tower, and every single lane for MRN is farming slightly better, with the exception of mid lane, which is down less than 10 CS. And the supports, while Lulu is doubling up Alistar. A very impressive showing there by the support. Looks like we are going to have a Zhonya's Hourglass soon to be picked up by Twisted Fate. And we've seen the Zhonya's Hourglass be used very effectively by Twisted Fate to dodge initiations on him, especially once he pops his Destiny. They could easily do something like have Jarvan ready to knock him up the second he lands, so we can just kind of cancel his ultimate. Looks like we are going to see MRN going to try and get blue buff and dragon, but it will be spotted out as there are 2 very nicely placed wards by Good Game University in those brushes, and it looks like MRN is going to be sitting on him. We are going to see a 5v5 fight if Good Game decides to actually contest here, but I definitely think MRN knows they've been spotted. And it looks like we are going to have MRN just going in there. They're going to be able to take down this dragon very fast with Tristiana, who has completed a Phantom Dancer. Likely going for a Last Whisper, and dragon has been killed. No kills exchanged, not even a fight. Shen looking to push the last outer tower of MRN, as I think he'll be able to get it before anyone gets back. Lux throwing her ultimate out just to annoy Renekton and make sure he doesn't get back to the top lane in time. Twisted Fate could likely go up top and save the tower, but I don't think that's the best decision, as neither team really has wanted to fight so far. But not fighting has hurt Good Game a lot more than it's hurt MRN. MRN is now up to 5,500 gold lead, as we do see all outer towers taken down. The inner towers have not been touched yet. Looks like we are going to have Ezreal going for a Trinity Force next. He could go for something like a Frozen Mallet, but I definitely think he needs more damage. And Trinity Force would be a great item here, giving a little bit of everything, allowing him to just really stay in these fights a bit longer. Lock of the Solari has been picked up by V. Renekton finishing off the Black Cleaver. Looks like we are going to have... Not sure what Shen's building right now, as he has a bunch of items that don't really go into anything together. Jarvan finishing the Lock of the Solari. Likely going to be building into that Aegis of the Legion. Lux finishing off her Death Cap, going into the Void Staff. As we see Zeal picked up, soon to be Trinity Force on to Ezreal. Lulu picking up what looks to be a Shirley's Reverie very soon. Alistar going with the Aegis of the Legion himself, or possibly a Lock of the Solari. Both would be good choices on him. As we see MRN looking to group up and apply pressure to these inner towers of Good Game University. We are going to see both split pushers down to the bottom lane, as it looks like Twisted Fate is going to be running towards the blue buff. MRN will be able to steal this rather easily as V does smite it away. And MRN is going to rotate down bottom and apply a lot of pressure to this tower. Shen is not going to be able to defend it versus every single person on Team MRN. Alistar is going to be in the area, placing a very deep ward, and that's the bottom inner turret, taken by MRN. It is one of the most important turrets in the game, because that means someone might have to be all the way back at base defending, and if you're back at that far away from Baron, there's no way you're going to get there in time unless you're Shen. And I don't think Shen could actually beat Twisted Fate in a fight at the moment. I think Twisted Fate would slightly win that out, just due to his kiting ability, but it would be an interesting fight to see, as it would last a fairly long time, as Shen is very tanky, and Twisted Fate has okay damage at the moment. Tristiana does rocket jump away, but the Jarvan ult fails, as it doesn't manage to capture Tristiana at the end of the jump. Jarvan ultimate stops the person where they are currently. It doesn't predict future movement, as Renekton does jump in, takes a good bit of damage. V does jump forward, Twisted Fate ult going across. Shen ultimate going out, as well as we are going to see the first blood here at some point, as we do see everyone get low, and Renekton will pick up first blood onto Jarvan, and it looks like we are going to see Ezreal taken down by Renekton. Renekton just snowballing this fight, picking up 3 kills, and MRN is really taking the lead here, and they're likely going to pick up an inhibitor off of this, as Lux doesn't have the mana to defend, and they've really done a great job of taking every single advantage they're given on the side of MRN. And they're going to easily grab this tower. They can snowball this into another tower or Baron. It looks like Baron is their choice here. Or they're just going to back up. I really thought they could have taken Baron here with Tristana's damage and Twisted Fate's damage. But apparently they decide against it, and are just going to take that tower. But it's a 9,000 gold lead for MRN, with only 3 kills on the board. It's been a rather impressive showing, and it just shows how important farming is and picking a champion that amplifies gold. I mean, seriously, look how much extra gold they're getting. They're almost getting 2,000 gold on MRN's side just from Twisted Fate's passive. And it's a really impressive thing just to see how valuable it is. Looks like we are going to have Blade of the Rune King coming out onto Renekton. V likely to be going for that Spirit of the Elder Lizard. We do see the Warden's Mail picked up by Shen, likely to be bringing that into a Randuin's Omen. Not sure what he's going to be using the pickaxe for. Could be building a Blade of the Rune King as well, but I'm really not sure, as that would be the logical choice, but on Shen, I think you need more split pushing items, and Blade of the Rune King is not one of those. Looks like Good Game is going to be grouping up in the mid lane as 5, looking to apply a bit of pressure to MRN and take some counter kills, as they really need to get it going, as MRN has a big gold lead on him. It is now 10,000 gold. Looks like we are going to have Alistar knocked up by Jarvan. He does get a beautiful knockback on Jarvan. Jarvan is getting hit with the Lulu ultimate, so he will be okay. Alistar okay thanks to his ultimate, but Jarvan will go down to the dots of Tristana. V coming in there doing a lot of damage to Ezreal, as we do see Tristana finish it off. And we do have Twisted Fate coming in here with a big hit onto Shen. Shen will be going down. And this should be an inhibitor or Baron. for MRN as they've taken a 11,000 gold lead and have really snowballed this game out of reach of Good Game University. They just have not had the ability to make anything happen. They tried several times with Jarvan, but throughout the entire game it felt like they were trading farm, but every time they started trading farm they were just getting slowly behind as MRN took every single objective on the map. Lux in a lot of trouble as Tristiana flashes the light binding, and she will be taken out here as Tristiana is pretty legendary at this point. Twist of Fate on the other side of things, picking up Lulu. And we are going to see a real massive lead here by MRN. Excellent job by them, taking everything they're given and more. And this just goes to show you what good objective control can do. There was nothing that really won them any of the lanes. They just picked up the early towers. They picked up the extra gold from Dragon and had the advantage of Twisted Fate. Nice headbutt pulverized combo there by Alistar, hitting 3 and forcing them back off this inhibitor. This inhibitor will go down as Lux and Lulu won't be able to actually come help as they are just now respawning. And with one inhibitor down and Baron buff on the side of MRN, they can basically go heal up, pick up the next set of items, and go for the end game push. Blade of the Rune King soon to be up onto Renekton as he does finish that off now. Deathcap soon to be up onto Twisted Fate. V getting a lot more tanky. She's about to pick up a Warmonks. Last Whisper and Infinity Edge soon to be up onto Tristiana. Aegis of the Legion going to be finished by Alistar. So next time it goes back, Trinity Force completed by Ezreal. Shirley's Reverie up onto Lulu. Lux has finished up her Void Staff and about to finish up her Anathane's Unholy Grail. Jarvan about to complete up the Aegis of the Legion, as Shen needs to complete that Randuin's Omen very soon if he wants to stay alive in these team fights. He just takes way too much damage from Tristiana and Twisted Fate, as they're both fairly auto-attack heavy champions. Looks like Twisted Fate's going to be split pushing down bottom as V comes in to apply a lot of pressure. Stun goes out by Twisted Fate, but immediate cleanse by Ezreal. And that's a lot of damage on Ezreal. He's going to have to go back to base, as I don't think he can lifesteal enough to make a difference before the fight actually begins, as another 1 or 2 spells will take him out pretty quickly. Tristana's going to sit down and use her long range to harass this tower. She's almost fully powered up. As soon as she hits level 18, she can almost outrange towers. It's a really impressive thing. And looks like MRN is going to rotate in the mid lane where they do have minions, and they can just split push with Twisted Fate, as Shen has basically been forced to stay with the team as his ultimate's not going to be there in time. He has the ability to actually get in there and do something if he can get a good taunt off, but it's just very hard at this point in time. Looks like Jarvan does try and jump in there onto Twisted Fate, but Twisted Fate just not able to be caught at this point. If he was caught, he could easily Zhonya's Hourglass or pop his ultimate and run away, assuming there are no crowd control effects nearby. And with Jarvan popping his knockout, that's the only real crowd control effect that's going to get to him. Lux pops off her ultimate, does a lot of damage to this Tristana. Tristana just not very healthy at this point, and is going to have to go lifesteal off some minions. Twisted Fate doing a lot of damage to Shen here, as Shen just does not have any damage. And he just really needs to pick up a little bit of damage if he wants to be able to contest with Twisted Fate. But I don't think he's going to get the opportunity, as Twisted Fate does finish off that bottom tower and going for the inhibitor. Good Game is rotating over, but they're not going to be there in time. Jarvan does land a nice knock up, but we are going to see Twisted Fate just pop the Zhonya's Hourglass and just be perfectly fine as the rest of his team comes there to back him up. V with the first kill of this fight as Alistar Flash pulverizes and hits one with both tanky characters down, and now Lux. This is good game for Good Game University, as MRN just completely snowballed after taking that one fight, and they've really just controlled the objectives this entire game, and that's basically what won them the game. It wasn't anything done in the lanes. It was just realizing when people were going to back up and taking those early dragons and getting that bit of extra gold from Twisted Fate. It really added up at the end of the game to be about 2,000 extra gold for their team. 400 to 500 gold on each one of the carries at late game, and it really makes a big difference. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.